Call this meeting to order. We have 21 people signed in. We have 10 people on Zoom, which you see some of them up here. And it's interesting being up here in front of the room. The Zoom people are having their own separate social hour. They can't hear us so well, but there's a conversation among 10 people on Zoom here. Okay. So welcome to our first face-to-face meeting in a year.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
How are you here? We were very fortunate to get this fire department training room, and there's a story behind it that I'll also tell you when we get to that. First, what I'd like to do, though, since we're in a face-to-face meeting, a flag, is let's open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So welcome.
Thank you.
Can you on Zoom, can you hear me okay?
I see you fine.
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Thank you. So on Zoom, we have Dee Dee, we have Jeff Fargo, we have Michael Campbell, we have Kevin Brannick, we have Gary Gallerstein, we have Ray's. Yes, it looks like Gary though. So, we have Adam, we have Louise from Canada, we have Ernie, and we have newly married Irene. Where's Irene? No, she can't see you waving. They are all waving at you, Irene. Okay.
Nice, thank you.
It's my understanding that Irene's new husband has his interview, his hike evaluation tomorrow. So that would mean that we would have 2 Anderson couples in that. Awesome.
It's Tim talking.
Right on.
His last name's Anderson. Oh.
Okay. Okay, so our agenda tonight is news and updates. Membership update from previous Denise, now this lady. Tori. Tori. Peg will give a financial report, including the annual financial report. Most of the time tonight will be, of my part, will be spent on mission reports. We've had a lot of missions and a lot of good lessons from the missions. Jill will talk to us, our new training officer, about training for April. And our training tonight is on line search techniques, also known as grid search techniques. We gave it the name line search because of the emphasis of searching with a line versus searching in the grid. Okay, now I just need to, yeah, there we go. So I'm going to minimize this. We actually have
Past go upwards of $2,000 to $3,000. But that was back when they first came out. And we're just
going to mute everyone on Zoom.
$25 for the form. Well, I guess you're the bearer of bad news today. Hey, no problem. Good luck tonight. Thank you.
Tim, you're muted.
I can't hear anything, Tim.
Sorry, I muted too many. Okay. Okay, so Tori, you want to give this?
Yeah, go back to the treasurer's report. I can give. The treasurer's report. You want to do that? Somebody.
There we go. Okay.
All right, so call-out list is active, 27 members, and I didn't know Charlie resigned, so that's a bummer.
So let me talk about that. Charlie just resigned over the weekend. Charlie's been with us 8 years of tremendous service. Charlie just decided with everything going on, it was time for him to resign. I remember Charlie's, well, I know Charlie's one of our most knowledgeable members of Trails. And Charlie is who introduced me to VSAR. I was
Just
on,
you? And Heidi?
as I was about to say, and Heidi. So Charlie introduced both of us to VSAR. I was on a Westerners hike with him. I heard him talking about search and rescue. And I said, oh, what's that? That sounds interesting. And I asked Charlie, tell me a little bit about search and rescue. This happened. So
You're blaming Charlie.
absolutely. You're going to blame Charlie for all of this. Yep. So Charlie is very proud of his service. And it was really hard for him to resign from VSAR. He sent a note that he asked me to send to all of VSAR. I'll send it after the meeting. Okay. So sorry you didn't know about this story. On to you.
All right. So we still have 7 applicants in background check in various phases.
Come up here so Zoom can hear you. Here's Tori, our new membership sergeant.
Here I am. So James Reed, Kevin Brannick, Allison Pappas, Mark Carey, Bernie, Karen Larson, and Ernie are all still in the background investigation process. James and Brianna have decided not to pursue membership at this time. And we have Irene's husband is coming out with us for an evaluation hike tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that. And then still on leave of absence is Jeff, Mike Harris. Well, some of you guys are here. Terry, Matt, Louise, and Cy. Was there somebody else down there? Cy's here. Yeah, I thought I saw Cy. Yeah. And Ann. Yeah. And so I'm learning, getting there. But yeah, if anybody approaches you guys about joining, feel free to shoot me a text with their information, share my phone number. It's on all the roster and call outs and everything like that. And we'll get them through the system as soon as we can and go from there.
And let's just say that Karen is here tonight. Karen, wave your hand.
Perfect.
And Bernie's here tonight.
Yeah. Awesome.
And did I miss any other guest? So, okay.
All right.
Say, thank you, Tori. Dan, speaking of guests, you brought guests tonight. Would you like to tell us about your guests and introduce them?
Well, I think they could tell about themselves.
Okay.
My name is Steve Finley. I've been quite a few years.
Okay. Are you interested in joining VSAR?
Would be a heck of a distance. I'm out of the Bay Area.
Okay.
I'm Steve's wife. And then also Steve.
Okay.
Also from the Bay Area.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay.
I'm Mary Ann.
Hmm.
I'm Dan.
Okay.
I've been for a while now. And thought it would be fun to check it out. See what it's all
Yeah.
about.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us, Dan, Susan, and Mary Ann. Okay, treasurer's report. Hey, Kern.
Okay, the March report reflects the end of our fiscal year. Our year does run from April 1st through March 31st. So this primary report is just for the standard monthly report showing that our total funds on hand are $29,591 with a net activity for the month of a positive $48, thanks entirely to Jill and her husband Roger's fabulous $500 donation.
Roger.
Roger, it's not Jill. And then we did have 460 in expenses, so we ate it up very quickly, but thank you so much. But they are all expenditures that are listed on the next page here on the attached spreadsheet. We'll have a request for a board approval because this is the start of the new fiscal year. I would request a board vote to authorize me to pay routine expenditures, and we'll do that when we do the other motions. Reminder that dues are due, but now that I've gotten a couple more here, I'm down to just 2 members that haven't paid. Irene, you're one of them, I think. And if you could make sure, if you're coming on the hike tomorrow, go ahead and just give it to Tori. And we can do that, or you can PayPal me or mail it, either way. And then the other one is, I think, Matt Goubard. But other than that, everyone paid. So we're in great shape there. I know, leave of absence still pays dues. Oh, yeah, you don't get away scot-free because you take a leave. Yeah, so no, you still pay. Okay, so that's the basic part there. Is there more?
Found that when you're on Zoom, you have to do that.
Oh, okay. And I don't think there was anything, yeah, you wouldn't have had anything else. Okay, that's good. And then this is just the details that show the individual expenditures with a variety of expenses and the donation. And then I did go ahead and transfer $5,000 out of the checking account because we were getting quite a balance there. So the checking account is down to just under 2,000 and our savings account is up to 27, almost 27.6. So total 29.5. You said which key is it that just tapped?
Just tap it.
Just tap it, okay. Or not.
There.
Okay, and then because this is the end of the fiscal year, this is what's called an income and expense, or those of you that are financial, a P&L report, profit and loss report for the year, broken out by the different categories of expenditures, administrative, communications, and income dues. We set up a K-9 fund because of the training that was done, supply training, and also our fundraising effort. So total income for the year, including grants, was 28,209. That's an absolute record for us. But 15,000 was a grant that got spent right away. And 2,500 was a transfer, if you will, from the fundraising from the YCSO auxiliary fund to just pay us for some of the funds that we've received over the last couple of years. But still a great year with 12,000 or over 10,000 in other donations. As far as expenditures, the radio was definitely our largest expenditure. That was the 15,000 and change for the radios. And the K-9 training, that was, if you remember, a very generous anonymous donor donated the funds to cover that. That was the $3,000 donation at the top there for the K-9 fund, which then got spent. We actually have $10 left over from that, so we can party on. And then you'll see all the routine expenditures. So the total for the year, the net profit, if you will, or increase in income in a value is 5,722 for the year. And that's a really good year for us. So we're actually having our checking account and our savings accounts are probably the best they've ever been at this point. Okay. And I think that's it.
Is there any,
board motion.
parts of those expenses that we're obligated to spend on a certain item?
Okay, Bob's question was, are there any obligations, if you will, for those funds to a specific item? And at this point, no. We've cleared the grant funds for the radio, and we've cleared essentially the K-9 fund where we had a specific donation for that. Dennis?
That was my question.
Yeah.
Could you remind me where the grant came from?
It was two different grants, one from City of Sedona. Mike, you won that. No, it wasn't. No, it was Dave Foster, and he's David Foster. You're doing the other. Okay, sorry. I had you. So one was, we got two grants, each one for 7,500. One from the City of Sedona, and the other from Arizona
Community Foundation.
Yep. And we actually 10 years ago they gave us the same two organizations that gave us a grant back then. Also radios, surprisingly. So they seem to be willing to support us when we need new radios about every 10 years or so.
Yeah, that grant process, it took us working with David and I 2 or 3 months to write this, 2 or 3 months for them to decide. But we got the 15,000, purchased the radios within 2 or 3 months. And coming April, this month, we need to submit a report to both units
Correct.
about how we spent the money.
Yeah.
So,
And if you need anything further on that, we can help provide it. Okay, so at this point, we need a couple motions. I'll let you take
Okay.
over.
Okay, so we actually have, now we asked for, looking for board approval of the March report, annual report you just heard from Peg. And I want to remind you who the board is smaller. Our board is 6 members, and our board is, myself, Bob and Dave. Bob is operations sergeant, Dave is, yeah. I had demoted you. I was going to. Operations lieutenant, and Dave, specialty unit lieutenant. Jill, lieutenant. I'll get it. As Adam would say, lieutenant of fun and training and safety. Yep. Peg Kern, treasurer, and Denise as secretary. Okay.
Tim,
Yes.
if you don't mind, a quick question. Peg, is that ACF Sedona or ACF Yellow?
I believe it was the ACF, Arizona Community Foundation. Yeah, okay. So City of Sedona gives some, and then that Yavapai Foundation of ACF. Okay. So I need a motion to approve the March and annual financial report subject to audit. Motion by Bob. Do I have a second? Second by Dave. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The financial reports are not unanimously approved. I need a motion for the board to approve the treasurer to pay routine expenditures, which are defined in our new policies and procedures. Motion by Bob, seconded by Denise. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say all not in favor, say nay. Any abstentions? Unanimously approved. And I need a motion to approve the March meeting minutes, the VSAR March meeting minutes. Moved by Peg, seconded by Bob. All in favor, say aye. Okay, unanimous. All motions approved. Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, now we get to the activity stuff, the fun stuff. I'll bring the Zoom people back on. So we're going to talk about the mission reports, and we are having a phenomenal year for missions. We've had 30 call outs, including 5 stand downs so far in 2021. So 3 months and 12 days. We've had last year at this exact time, we had 17. So now we have 30. Last year we had 17. And you remember last year was our record year. Okay. We've had 18 call outs since the last meeting, including 2 stand downs. Now those call outs are here. These are the missions. So it started off with a 2 mission day, March 18th, Sugarloaf Keyhole Cave. And team got done with Keyhole Cave and zoomed right over to Belk. And I'll talk more about that Bell Rock rescue. March 21, Capitol Butte. Black Canyon Trail. This was the mountain biker that met you, basically rescued himself. Doe Mountain Carry with Sedona Fire. Mingus Mountain 4x4. Long Canyon, which was a very short one because we were all diverted to 2 days of the Black Canyon Trail. Fossil Creek 4x4. Second, Camp Verde evidence search. A request, late night request for searching for a demented male in the village near Sedona Winds, and the Saturday Bell Rockland. We'll talk mostly about the Saturday Bell Rockland because there's a lot of experience and lessons in that one. So these are we're going to talk about Keyhole Cave, the first Bell Rock of the month, Doe, Black Canyon Trail, and Bell Rock. So those are the ones I picked out among many, all important call outs, all learnings, but these are the ones we'll talk about tonight. Keyhole Cave. So, thank you, Tori. Bob said terrible picture and Tori said, why don't you take it next time? So.
I used to be good at it, you know.
So this is, for those of you, many of you know Keyhole Cave, and some of you don't. So Keyhole Cave is the name given to a very large cave in an alcove that's, let's say it's west of, this is Coffee Pot. If you haven't been there, you probably will. Now, there's a second Keyhole Cave that we've learned also, just this year. This is the Keyhole Cave that I've always known, and I thought we only had one. And then social media started calling the keyhole a keyhole. It looks like a keyhole structure in Second Canyon of Boynton Keyhole Cave. So we actually have two Keyhole Caves. Mike?
Some people call the one in Boynton Subway Cave also.
Yeah. Subway Cave is another name for the Boynton one. And you can see, you can imagine, you know, there's like a subway going up to the cave. And then when you're in the cave, you look out and it looks like a keyhole. So just remember that when you're asked to go to Keyhole Cave, now you have to say which one. Now this call out was for two females stuck in the cave, Danielle and Nicole.
What are your Zoomers around?
So this is a picture, I believe Alan took this, right, Alan? Yep. Okay, good photographer, Alan. So you can see that this is a good plan. You know, here's, I don't know if that's Danielle, it's one of the two ladies. This is the second lady. Is this when she was screaming on the way down?
That's Nicole.
That's Nicole.
The one up top is Danielle.
Okay, Nicole and Daniel.
Danielle.
And was this when she was screaming on the way down?
Yes.
Screaming bloody murder, I understand, okay.
From Daryl Sabar.
Yeah, but in this case, there was multiple VSAR members at critical points of descent. Daryl helped them down stepwise here and then handed her off to, that's Bob?
And then he brought me.
And then to Denise, Gary, and Dan. So at each point where a person could possibly slip, there's a VSAR member there to assist them. So this is a good plan. And then this is the happy, you know, the happy rescuees afterwards. So there have been times in Keyhole Cave when it's been nighttime and we've asked backcountry to come and we've lowered the people with ropes. I think if you're in Keyhole Cave, you need multiple people to help assist them down that. So it's easier to get up and it's hard to get down. Please, okay. Bell Rock.
Jim,
Yes.
on that search, the coordinates we got off the cell phones did not plot at
Yes.
Keyhole Cave.
That's right. Okay.
Fortunately, the first group in could actually hike to the coordinates first and then continue to Keyhole Cave.
It's like that way.
Yeah, and actually, that's a good point. This is one,
Can't
this
hear
is one of the
that.
time. Pardon?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the person speaking.
Okay, good. So thank you for reminding me to repeat. The comment was by Mike Vitek that the first coordinates, which are right here, the first team went to those coordinates and checked, whistled, looked around, found no one. And this often happens when the cell phone or the coordinates are from an alcove or underneath. This is a bounce. So we have to check the coordinates first. And this is one of the few times that coordinates were not accurate. Most of the time they are. But you have to check the coordinates first. And because they were in the cave and calling, the cell phone GPS coordinates were bounced to here.
But they stated they were in the cave, so that means.
We actually called them back after the team reported that there was no one there. We called them because the deputy had their phone number, called them. Mike, you talked to him, I believe.
Yeah, we got the phone number from Sedona Police Department. I called them to verify that they were in the cave.
So we got the number from Sedona Police Department and then Mike called them and verified, are you in a cave? Because we couldn't be sure where they were. And they verified where they were in a cave. The only cave in this area is that Keyhole Cave. And lo and behold, you got there and they were there. Yep. Okay. Bell Rock. So we had 2 Bell Rocks, both of them, I would say, very tough in the last month. This was so Adam issued the call out to assist 3 hikers and a dog at the top of Bell Rock. This was where the lady and her dog was stuck. This is where the couple was stuck on Saturday. And we'll talk about the Saturday one later. So this was a particularly tough one. It was a joint VSAR backcountry search and rescue. VSAR got there first because of course we're closer. Adam sent 2 teams up, and one team was to, I believe, please remind me, but I think one team was to wait at the bottom for backcountry to assist them up. And the first team actually went up and actually made their way to the subjects. So Daryl, you were on it, and Gary was on it. Gary and Dan. Okay. Please interrupt and whenever we'd like to add something. This was it developed into a night search. The VSAR team got up there just as it was becoming dark, but you went up at the light. And this is from the trailhead. You see one team, a second team, and this is where the action was. And you can see how dark it was up there. This is a backcountry person because you can see their helmet, and they had to climb up this person to get to the lady and her dog that was up there in the dark. I think actually Tip, climbed up there, and Josh and Daryl. Tell them how they did that.
They formed a human ladder, basically. So there's a bunch of us leant against the rock face, and they just basically climbed on top of us and then stood on our heads. And then basically it was enough that they could actually then scramble up, and then they dropped the rope down and the second one went down.
Yeah, so for those of you on Zoom, Daryl said that it basically formed a human chain, a human ladder, where Daryl was the base of the ladder.
No.
No? Who was?
Tim, it was, and I can say a few things.
Okay, so the 3 VSAR guys for the ladder and 2 backcountry guys climbed up on top of you.
2 backcountry guys on the ladder, and then 2 went up.
Yeah, then 2 went up, and one anchored the rope. So, and then the rope came down. That's how you got the dog and the lady down. And Gary, you wanted to say something, and then I'll repeat it to the crowd here.
A couple of things. First of all, you haven't lived until you've had two 225-pound plus guys stand on your shoulder on a small rock platform. But what I wanted to say was, can everybody hear what I'm saying? Tim, can you hear me well?
Yes, they can hear you in the back, Gary.
Okay. The mantra, "We don't save dogs," which all of us have heard several times, really needs to be discussed. And I hope in the future we have some guidelines, because in my opinion, make no mistake, this was a dog rescue that just happened to have had a subject attached to the dog. And I've thought a lot about that. And the reason why I say that is there would have been a good chance we would not have even had a rescue if it wasn't for the dog, because the subject's younger brother and girlfriend got down. The subject would not go down for fear of injuring her 6-month-old husky. So that's one point. The second point is the rescue was immensely more difficult because of the dog. The helicopter could not rescue the subject and the dog because the helicopter pilot was concerned that the dog was going to pull the subject off the rock, and it made for a much higher risk rescue. So long story short, I hope we better explain what we don't save dogs mean. Because again, this was a dog rescue, in my opinion, that may not have happened at all if the dog wasn't there. And that's the main thing I want to say. The other thing about flagging, green tape at night, we lost the trail. White flagging tape or orange flagging tape would have been preferred at night, or even the flares. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Any questions for Gary? Pass on. I'm just seeing if Adam's on. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. So Adam, did you want to say anything about that night in the dog rescue? Let me get you-
Well, I would correct Gary's statement. We don't not save dogs. We don't go on missions to save people's pets. We didn't know about the dog until you guys got up there and made contact with the subjects. The initial call was very confusing. I asked several times from dispatch to try to get clarification, and it was all discombobulated through dispatch. So when we started, I didn't really know who we were looking for. I didn't know if we were looking for 1, 2, or 3 subjects, and I certainly had no idea there was a dog. So, but to clarify, we don't initiate search or rescue missions for pets. But that being said, we do rescue animals regularly.
Yeah, so I think, Adam, you're saying that we don't initiate calls for pets only.
Right.
Yeah, but often pets are with the subjects. I can think of 4 calls in the last 6 months where there's been pets from little to large. And of course, we rescued the pets with the subject.
Right. And, I wasn't up there on the rock to make that decision, but you all, when you are up on the rock, kind of have to feed that information back to me. If it gets to the point where the subject is completely unsafe and refusing to let go of the dog, there may be a point where she would have had to let go of the dog if we couldn't get her down any other way safely. And that'll have to be a decision that gets made, but I need to know that if the animal is creating an unsafe situation for any of you or for the subject that we can't rectify, like I said, I need to know that information.
Yeah, so a key lesson is if you get to the subjects and there's a pet of any form, be sure that the deputy knows that. Okay. Sometimes they don't. Jill?
Hey, Tim, this
Yeah.
is Gary again. I've thought about that scenario too, what Adam just mentioned, and I just want to share a quick thought, and that is we could have told the gal that it was too unsafe to rescue the dog. And I think there's a chance she might have stayed with the dog, at least overnight. So then we would have been faced with leaving the subject and the dog up there and coming down. And I'm not so sure we would have left the subject. So it really creates layers of complexity with a rescue, because I know I've been on 2 rescues, including this one, and the other one was above Enchantment, where we got helicoptered off. That really greatly increased the risk to us simply because of the dog. And yet we could have ordered the gal to come down without the dog. In this instance, I am not sure she would have done that. Then we would have had to have made another major decision. That's it.
Okay. Jill, I have a question from Jill here.
Question for Adam. You would explain why they.
Come over here.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. I know you debriefed the subjects, Adams, but did they offer any explanation of why they took the dog that far up Bell Rock?
They were completely clueless and had they got in way over their heads. Just,
Okay.
No.
That's kind of a disappointing answer, but yeah, okay.
yeah,
Joe, this is Gary. Joe?
Yeah.
The gal told me that as she was walking up Bell Rock with the dog, she met an other fellow with a dog, and he told her that it was a very easy hike up and not to worry about it. That's the story that I got. So she brought her dog up, and you can imagine a young gal with a 6-month-old husky male dog. She was risking her life for that dog, and I'm not sure we could have separated the two.
So one other question for the vets in the room. Would we have thought about sedating the dog?
It wouldn't have been an option because we don't carry sedation, and I can't imagine doing it. I just can't imagine safely doing that. And not to mention, how do you get a sedated dog down the hill? It was tough enough to get a young puppy down the hill at night with ropes. The gal pretty much clutched the dog every time we had a steep descent, and trying to do it with sedation, I just don't think could have been done.
one option we can consider in the future is to put the dog in a backpack.
Yeah.
And
A 50-pound backpack coming down Bell Rock, I can't imagine trying to safely negotiate that, in my opinion.
well, it was either that or it was a 50-pound bundle of paws and outs trying to pull her off. I mean, but again, we have to just take all the information we have and do the best we can at the time.
You know, this was a phenomenal learning experience, and phenomenal in so many ways for me as well. And I would like to see some guidelines perhaps on, and every rescue is different, and maybe guidelines aren't practical, but it would be nice to put something down on paper to give us some guidelines on how best to handle something like this, if that's doable.
Well, the only thing we can say for sure is that we're not knowingly going to start a rescue mission to save somebody's pet, but if we can save their pet safely, then we will. But the humans are the first priority. Beyond that, I don't think we can make any other predictions. We have to deal with it case by case.
You know, the dog put the rescuers at great risk in some instances, and I'm not sure we would have done anything else.
Well, what I'm saying, Gary, is the incident commander, which was me, did not know that the dog was putting you all in additional peril.
Okay, fair enough.
So next time, convey that, and we will maybe do things differently.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Mike?
Gary, you think if you're just taking the woman off that ledge to cut her down, the dog might just follow?
Gary, so the question from Mike was, and Daryl was there also, if you got the lady down from the ledge and left the dog there, don't you think the dog would have just followed?
Great question. Again, it wasn't an option because the subject was clutching the dog on the way down. Even at some of the areas where we descended, she was holding the dog to her chest, not even giving a chance to walk down. So that wasn't an option to say turn the dog loose and let it fend for itself. But could the dog have negotiated that descent by itself? On one hand, I'd say no. On the other hand, I would never underestimate the agility and athleticism of a young dog.
Okay. Yes, Dan.
Depending on the base, it's very small, just enough for us guys to be performing the people out.
Yep. Okay.
If the dog would have tried to come down, it would have just kept on going.
So I'll repeat that for the group on Zoom.
I'm just-
Let me repeat this first.
Okay.
That was from Dan. Dan was also up there along with Daryl and Gary. It was you three, right? Yep. And Dan said that if the dog tried to come down on its own, it would have gone all the way down because it was a very steep, almost, 70, 80 degree slope for that dog to come down. So the dog could not have come down without actually going all the way, because at the bottom was also a narrow ledge. Yeah.
And truthfully, it was like a 15-foot sheer wall. And the girl did come down first, and she actually called the dog to encourage it to go towards the edge, so backcountry could pull it off. So the dog was whimpering and they literally took the dog off the cliff.
So one more dog story, then we'll cut this one short. Okay. You can see the emotion that dogs on a rescue elicits. Okay. So Daryl said that there was a 15-foot actually, ledge, wall, vertical face. And the lady came down first, was calling to the dog to try to get it close enough that backcountry could actually get the dog and actually put a harness around it. And the dog was whimpering and very afraid, which is the reason they didn't go down in the first place. Okay. Okay, enough of the dog stories, but I do have photos, okay? So this is the dog. This is the lady with her harness on. That's Gary standing next to her, and the dog, the husky. You can see it's a sizable husky. The other lady on the other side, this was the boyfriend's girlfriend, the brother's girlfriend. And I was very proud of Peg Cook, put on her PPE and was treating an injured, a laceration on the leg. A minor one, but still was bleeding. Okay. So good job, Peg. Okay, so that was the first Bell Rock Rescue. There's an important lesson I want to talk about though. So I saw Larry Weigel is the head of backcountry, the unit head of backcountry, and talked with a few of the backcountry guys a few days after this. And if you remember, the VSAR team went up first in the light. I found the subject and the dog, identified that they couldn't go further. They needed backcountry. They needed a rope propelling crew. And then it became dark. Backcountry has to come from Prescott, hour and a half, 2 hours. Backcountry followed them up. Backcountry said, let me start again. The VSAR team went up in the light. They found a relatively decent trail, and you did not feel unsafe on that trail at all. Okay. Backcountry went up at night and they followed you, but they didn't find the trail that you went up. And so in retrospect, when we know a team is coming behind us and it's going to be night, we need to label the trail very clearly. And Larry said, it would have been great if you'd even put some tape on the trail, because we could have followed yours up and we wouldn't have had to use rope to get up. They went off a more difficult trail. But what would even be better is to use nightsticks, glow sticks. So you all have green glow sticks. You each should have been issued 2. So from now on, when we know that a team's going to be following us and it's a difficult trail and it's going to be dark, let's liberally mark that trail with green glow sticks. I tried one of these last week. They'll go 18 hours. Now, we got these green sticks initially to mark a helicopter landing zone, but I think we did that based off improper knowledge, because we've learned since then that probably a white is better for helicopters with night vision goggles on. And so each of you are issued 2 white sticks tonight for helicopter landing zone. Use your green for marking trails behind you. When another VSAR team's coming behind you, backcountry team, those would probably be the only teams that would be following each other. Okay. Yes,
We
Mike.
need to- We need to check with the ranger crew about those light sticks.
Well,
I don't think they'll work with night vision goggles. They'll be too bright. Plus, they're laying on the ground and they get blown all over the place.
well, these would be on the
Check with them to
perimeter.
make sure.
Adam and I had this discussion and I thought we had wrong information on green. Adam thought it was white also. Dondi remembered at the helicopter safety class that they mentioned white.
The gal talking said white for the night vision.
So that's why we chose white. So Dondi West gave us information from a recent helicopter safety class asking the pilot specifically, and they said white, so. Sai, you had a question?
I'm just curious, could you send a GPX track? Did you have conversation with your on the cell phone? You had data. Could you send like your track to most of the guy app?
The question that Sai is asking is, if there's someone behind us and we want them to follow our track, can we send them a GPX track? You might be able to with Gaia. So Gaia, you could send a track, they could get it on their device, their cell phone, and they could download it to their Gaia. You could not do it with the GPS. Mike, could you do it with your satellite? I don't think so. Your satellite GPS.
No, all I can do is text.
So this is something we could practice, but with our current Gaia app, you can, okay, I want to send the track up here. I want to send it to this person on backcountry or this VSAR member. If they have Gaia, they'll get the email, load it into Gaia, and that would work. As long as you have reception. Yeah. Okay. Next mission we'll talk about is Doe Mountain. We were called to assist Sedona Fire carry down an injured female hiker. She had fallen just from the flat top of Doe. As you come down slightly steep there, she fell there and injured her ankle. So she was off Doe already, but at the top of the trail. A rather routine mission. Okay. The firemen are actually glad we were there. They saw us coming and they said, "Thank you for coming. We need help on this trail." And I took this picture particularly because you see two orange guys between the green fire department guys. Kind of like proof that we were there side by side. And I got to tell you, I sent this to one of the training officers and the station chiefs. And then I went over a few days later and said, I wanted to talk with you since we're working together again. We helped you on Doe. And the guy said, "Yeah, I remember that. You were at Doe. You guys are a really good help. You sent some really good, strong VSAR guys and gals." And I said, "Well, since we're working together, I was wondering if you'd be willing to open up the training center for us again." And that started the cascade that got us here. Okay, so there's public relations value for photos like this. And that actually got us into this training room, I believe. Okay, so we're very grateful to the Sedona Fire Department. We couldn't use number one because the firemen are still using that for their dining area. But this, they said that we can offer you the training room over at number 3. Okay, Black Canyon. This was also a big search. For those of you that haven't read the report, there was on a Saturday, two couples, right? 2 males and 2 females. 2 males, 1 female. Okay, I had thought there was a second female there, but I was wrong. Okay, she was later at the trailhead. 2 males and 1 female.
There were actually 5 altogether.
5 altogether.
Yep.
There was actually 5 people up there in the waterfall area, Adam?
There were 2 males and 3 females that started out together.
Okay. One of the females was left to read a book by herself next to one of the ponds, while the other parties went further upstream, perhaps to the waterfall, perhaps to other ponds. And the lady was, as told by her husband, had slight dementia. And after 2 hours, from my understanding, she heard them having fun upstream. She said she got rather mad and decided either she was going to go back by herself, or the other story I've heard is she believed that they had already left. Maybe she heard them downstream, and so she went to find them. Regardless, when the parties came back to find her at the pond, she was gone. I believe they spent some time looking for her before calling 911. Adam issued the call out, I see at 15:57. Backcountry, well, there was 2 different call outs that night and the following night, and I believe there's over 30 searchers, 3 helicopters, 3 different forest deputies. And she was successfully found the next morning. She spent the night out there. And luckily, it was one of the very first warm nights we've had, maybe 50s, 60s. And it was hot going up and just right coming back down. We had searchers, going all the way to the end of the trail. And this team got to the trail right. This is the junction where you'd go off trail down to the waterfall area. And the waterfall and ponds are in here. And this is very steep, I know Bob's been there 5 or 6 times, and he was part of the team that was up here. And the team decided not to go down there at night because we probably would not get up, and it was not safe going down there at night. That team came back. Everyone came back at 7 the next morning. Within, I think, 90 minutes, a backcountry team along with Heath and the husband saw the wife down here, right in this area. And they scrambled down to her. She had a laceration of the knee, but other than that, she was in good shape. Rescue 1, they got to a place where Rescue 1 could pick her up and take her back to the trailhead. Rescue 1 then came later and got the husband as he was having a little weakness or stomach problems, wasn't feeling quite right. So they were successfully reunited at the trailhead. So that was a very, a successful search. Everyone was very happy to find her the next morning. This does show you that, with warm weather, that subjects can easily stay out overnight. She did fine. She had ran out of water the day before, but she was dehydrated. But she, as Josh would say, she was ×4, and ANO ×4, which means you know your name, you know what day it is, you know what happened, you know the event, you know your date, the time, the location. Thank you. How fast it fades, yes.
Did
Jill.
she not hear the call outs, the whistles, the calls? or anything like that?
What I understand is she did hear the helicopters the night before, and she flashed a light at them, but the helicopters didn't see a light. I don't know that she heard anyone shouting or whistles. And frankly, she was so far down on the other side in that canyon, I don't think she would have heard anything.
We
So
didn't hear them calling that other team until we got back around that corner.
that's right, yeah.
We were out there.
So the sound didn't transfer very far in that canyon area.
I would like to say a couple things. I know the subjects, Ken and Sherry Ferguson.
Do you want to come up here and talk? Yeah. So Bob Schumann is coming because he knows the subjects, Ken and Sherry.
Okay, I know Ken and Sherry Ferguson. And Ken originally, his description of her mental state was overly exaggerated. He said that she wasn't bad in her stage of dementia. She was pretty cognizant of where she was and how to get out of there. However, after I got home the next morning, I called one of the neighbors because I know one of his neighbors. And he told me that she was diagnosed with stage 4 dementia. That's pretty severe dementia. So I think he was exaggerating, or he was just in denial of some of her problems. So that's, okay. So when a subject describes to us at the scene what the mental state of the friend or relative that's missing, we should take that with some caution. because he was not accurate in her mental state.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Adam, did you want to say anything else about that one?
No, I don't really have anything to add.
Okay. Okay, so this is a very successful outcome, a massive search, 30 people, 3 helicopters. And actually one fact that I found very interesting is Ranger 1, I believe, has FLIR heat sensing technology. And Ranger 1 flew over that area at night looking for her body. And I heard the helicopter pilot say, I haven't seen anything except a mountain lion.
And that's while we were still out in the canyon.
That's why we were all still out there, right? There's bear up there also? Okay, okay.
That's the last ones we went.
Now that-
We're the bear hunters.
The key lesson for us, though, is this one. We were released like 9:30. There was a VSAR member that showed up at midnight. And 2 quads that showed up a little after that. So my lesson is read twice, travel once. You're all familiar with the woodcutters, measure twice, cut once. Now remember, read twice, travel once. So double check, particularly for one, it can be very difficult. Usually 95% of our call outs, you need right away. And then you react right away and you start driving. Well, read it twice. In this case, the first one didn't have the date and time, but another one was issued right after that. That probably helped a little bit with the confusion. But so this has happened to many of us. It's happened to me until I stopped in the house and said, hey, wait, it's tomorrow. So.
Well, and the other note, especially with Black Canyon, is that we've had backcountry people. I don't think ours have done it, but they've gone down to Black Canyon City because they don't read the message. So please take the time to read the entire text message and look at the coordinates and see where they are. Just like we said, there's 2 keyhole caves now. We already know there's 2 very distant Black Canyons. There's 2 long canyon trails, one over by Bell Trail out in what Beaver Creek.
Oh, yes.
And
Yep.
there's one in Long Canyon. So you have to be very cognizant of the coordinates, not just the name of where you're going. So please read it.
Before you leave, you should put
You
the
should
coordinates
you should
into
put
your
them in.
Gaia
Yes.
or
your
look at the
GPS or
map.
whatever you need to.
Look at the maps.
So our Lieutenant of Operations is clarifying that before you leave, put the coordinates in whatever version of topography maps you want, Gaia, Sartopo. There's been some other VSAR members that will remain unnamed that called me about Black Canyon, said, now, how do you get to Black Canyon City? I say, wait a minute. You're going to the wrong Black Canyon place. Okay. Read twice, travel once.
And read the entire message.
Okay, now the big one from Saturday. So Larry called Heidi. Larry had been approached by Matt that backcountry would be needed. Larry called Heidi to give the call out with the subject's location and to call out VSAR and backcountry. This is where the coordinates were for the subjects. Two subjects, husband and wife, Michael and Sarah, which we learned later were on their honeymoon. Okay. This is the exact location that we had another one where we hiked up to this area, but it was nighttime and we didn't think it was safe to go down this way. That was our last connection how we reached a person there. The last person on this had to be also evacuated by a one-skid landing by Ranger after as soon as first light the next morning. And Daryl and Rick Henning stayed out overnight with the subject. You were over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you yelled across to the subject and checked on him. Yeah. Okay. Daryl, do you remember when that was? Because I've been trying to.
It was, I can't remember the exact month, but it was warm because we didn't need it. We just stayed overnight.
It was warm. Yeah. So it made in the summer, September time. Okay. Okay. So we started, this was where the subjects were. Backcountry was on the way. VSAR was there. We had a good turnout, 20 people, 12 VSAR and 8 backcountry. I put this in to remind you where this was the young lady with the dog. And this was the husband and wife subject of Saturday. Now, we did not know how to get there. We did not know how these people got there. They said they came from the other side, the south side. That doesn't, it's not very helpful. And at first, because we thought that to get to them, you would go up this way and go around this knob and you could crawl down this way. The last time we were there, it was nighttime and there was no way we were going to do it, but it was dark. All we could see that there was blackness. There was maybe a little trail, but black. So the only information we had was that we thought we could get to him this way. We conveyed that to backcountry and to Matt. However, that was wrong, imperfect information. We didn't know that till we got there. So I'm going to show you. So the story is, first we went up here. We couldn't get to them because unsafe. Then we sent a team around this way, and we sent a team around the whole back way of the rock to get to them. Let me show you the tracks from people on those teams. So this is where the subjects were. That's that knob. This is the first team backcountry and some VSAR members that roped up this slope and to try to get to them this way, and found out we couldn't. We spent 2 hours doing that, hour and a half, 2 hours. And then one of us went around here because we knew there was a way around the mountain or around Bell Rock this way. We got ledged out. Went back down and we led a team around this way. Because I remember we had another subject over here a year ago, a young lady that also had to be, let's get it off. Peg, you remember that, you helped treat her. So this team was going east to go south, to go west, because we wanted to see, could we approach them from this way? This team got ledged out. And so the team made its way back. The other team that was going west went over this way. They also couldn't find a way to the subjects up here until, let's see, well, let me show you, this is some of the activities. So this is backcountry and VSAR coming up this slope. This is the way it looked. So this is at, it's a smooth slope and backcountry preferred for us to go up there with rope. This is actually, there's a few members carrying gear for them. So 300 feet of rope, 100 feet of rope, some of their other gear to help them. This is Stephen actually crawling up. That's Dondi. And here's the cheerleading squad at the bottom, which is right here. Now, in retrospect, we know we didn't need to rope up that because there is another trail to the side, which we've taken up before. We didn't know if we'd have to be bringing the couple down this way though. And so backcountry wanted to prepare an easier way up and a safe way down. We did not find out how to get to them until base, Matt and Tip, which are over on the highway, saw another subject crawling up the rock to them, and that third subject actually reached the two subjects and started talking to them.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, that's right, basically. So we followed, well, I wasn't the one to follow them, but I think Daryl and Rich and Dan at Backcountry, you followed that person or you found them? Yeah. Do you want to talk about that part of the story, Daryl?
So we
Come up here, please.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a big deal really because we followed this guy up. I don't know who the hell he was. He was kind of a guy out in a pair of sneakers, but he obviously was very, very competent. He went up there first, and then we kind of went. Actually, have you got that map with the arrows?
I do. So there.
Yeah. So we actually had, this part here was fairly steep. I don't know if the guys on the camera can see that.
I'm pointing for you.
Okay. And then Rich, myself staged there, which from the road looked pretty good.
Hey, Daryl, why don't you come over here? So people on Zoom can
Sorry. Yeah. And then Backcountry down on his own basically follow the loop round to get to the,
over to here.
to the subjects, yeah. So that was interesting. At least we know the way up there now.
We do. So one of the learnings is now we know the way up there and we know we don't want to take it.
Yeah.
What
So,
happens when Bob goes on vacation? He's coming out to-
so
Remember, that's when we had that other subject out there, that's with you, me, and Denise. That's exactly where we were.
we were going up this time, this
Yes.
in night. Yeah. And,
Yes.
and we would have made it eventually. Yeah.
Yes, we were going up there and I said, no, we better not go up there any further.
Well, let me show you what this is. So I took a picture of this from the side and I took a picture of this. Let me show you what it looks like when you're there. So this is the slope going up. Smooth, nasty, you know, if it was, this is about 2 feet above my head. And with someone with you, you know, they could help prop you up, okay? However, this then is, so you'd walk along here, come over to here. This is actually Daryl and Rich. And this is the path then up, further up and around here. And there's
That's exactly where we said no, right where those yellow lines are.
we said no up here in the
No,
dark.
No, we said no, when we went around the backside.
Yeah, we wouldn't go
we
up this.
were Right
right.
there,
Mhm.
and that's where we stopped, because we said no.
That's right. So anyway, the backcountry Dan was able to follow the third hiker up here, and he was able to get to the couple. He was able to give them water, give them food, and tell them about the rescue plan. And Dan from backcountry stayed with them until the helicopter evacuated them. Dan said later that, okay, so I'll paraphrase, but he said, we should not have gone there. I would not go up there again. He said that was on him, but you know, he saw a way there. He got a little, well, up here, it might have been a little tight, Daryl. Okay. But the thing is, Dan get to them and he gave them water and instructions, and it led to this. So Ranger 1 was able to land, and with the one skid landing, get the couple and the backcountry person off. So these are just some of the lessons that I thought about that night, you know, as going home in the next day. When we finally learned the path to what I'm calling heli bluff, helicopter bluff. You could also call it hell bluff, okay? It doesn't have that name, I just made it up, but for us, we call it heli bluff. The team spent a lot of time exploring Bell Rock. So the plus is we know Bell Rock much better than before. We know all the back, we know all the front, we know how to get up here. We know how to get up to where the lady with the dog was, for example. We have much better information. At the time, we acted on imperfect information. When we went up to at the very first foray, that was the best we knew. We thought we'd be able to get to him. We got up there during the daylight and found that we couldn't. Mike, however, who's been around Bell Rock a long time,
100 years.
Mike told the team originally that the west side was the way to reach the area. He was correct. So I think more time spent conversing between all participants at the beginning of the search might have saved time. Okay, I mean, it's up, looking back is always 20/20. But as you put things together, we spent a lot of time exploring that rock, trying to get to them. One positive is that we had a VSAR team on one side and a VSAR team on the other side of the rock. You could see them, you could talk to them. Did you have to yell, Daryl?
No, not actually, no.
Didn't really have to yell.
Not much.
The subjects told Dan, the backcountry team, that the search team speaking to them from both sides of the slope was very comforting. There was someone there that knew them, that was talking to them. And actually, the third hiker that went up there, he offered to take them back. And they were about to do that. Dondi, though, she consulted with other team members and then advised the couple, don't go back with them. Don't go back with the third hiker. And I think they were quizzing why he's going to take us back. I think Dondi told them the helicopter can guarantee your safety. This person cannot. Is that right, Dondi?
You said it much nicer.
Okay. Okay. I think the key lesson for us is now that we know that place, we know how to get there. We finally figured out how to get there. And in the future, if they're there, I think my personal opinion would be it's on an automatic helicopter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Denise?
When I was standing with Dennis and Gandhi, Dennis also noticed the husband got up and he started going back and forth and walking in a circle. So that's starting to show some
Anxiety.
and Dennis recognized that. And so we talked about it and he said, should I call up to him? And I said, yes, call up to him and just tell him that we'll get to him, stay put.
Yeah, so what Denise was saying is you were with Dennis and Dennis noticed the husband standing up and pacing, indicating anxiety. And that's when you reached out to him and yelled to him and said, we'll just stay safe, be patient, be calm. We're on the way. The help is on the way. Okay, so that was a rather big one. I think the call out was at 1 o'clock, and I think we were signing out at 9 o'clock, 9:30, like that. So, and it was this time, exploring Bell Rock. Again, we know Bell Rock now better than we ever have before, and we know where not to go. Okay, so I wanted to spend time on this because it was such a big one for us and backcountry, and it was a great teamwork again with backcountry. The second time on Bell Rock, and let me tell you another funny story. As I was talking to Larry, he says, we're gonna have to come over and explore that Bell Rock someday. I've never seen it in the daytime. Well, they got their wish. They saw it in the daytime and into the nighttime. Okay. Actually, no, we got them off. Yeah, we got off before day. Yeah. So it wasn't 9:30, it was 7:30. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. So, okay, that's the missions. I'll say full of fun month. Okay, a lot of lessons in that, and I think we all learned a lot on that. Okay, Jill, why don't we talk about the training? Okay.
Thanks, Tim. I'm kind of tired after that whole lessons learned thing. So I'm going to go through this really quick. So we have 4 training events scheduled for April. One part of that is happening tonight with PEG. And that's going to be the classroom portion of our VSAR line search techniques. And then it's going to emphasize spacing, alignment, projecting waypoints. And then there's going to be a field exercise on April 27th. So please check out the Volunteer Rescue and sign up if you haven't already done that. On the 16th, coming very soon, we're going to have a combination orientation hike in 4x4 at Secret Canyon. 4x4 is going to experience Forest Road 152 if you haven't already done that yet. And then it's a 6-mile hike of to get you familiar with the various remote trails that are out there, because we do seem to have a lot of activity out there. And let's see, what's the next one? Then on the 17th, we have K9 flanker training. And the purpose of this is to let the people who have agreed to be flankers know what their roles and responsibilities are. Also, how to be a good subject for the dog to find. I'm curious to know what that means exactly myself. And then they're going to gauge our interest if any of us flankers want to be dog handlers in the future. And we can talk to them about what kind of commitment that is. On a larger note, the training team, myself and Don Morgan, are currently working on a 12-month schedule of training events, starting with the ASARCA mandatory training. And we'd also advise all of you, if you're not spending time on volunteer rescue, do that. Go to your dashboard, look if you have any certifications that have expired or are about to expire, because we're going to kind of look at that to get some sense of, when we really have to beef up some of the ASARCA training. And I think at some point we're going to ask you guys to kind of maintain your own certifications, but right now I need you to pay attention to the expirations. And if you're working on a task book, on the resource page, is a really good instruction sheet on how to think about the SAR, the task book assignments and what you need to do. So if you haven't done those things and you're at that point, spend some time on VR to get up to speed on that. And the other thing we're going to do is going to have some specialty training with 4x4, the dog unit, mountain bike. So you're going to see those coming up as well. And we're going to try to have a 12-month calendar so you guys can plan ahead when you can see those things coming. And we're also going to try to do them on a kind of a regular time schedule. So meaning maybe the orientation hikes are the second week of every month, maybe the 4x4s are the third week. So you have some sense of when those things are happening. And so you can plan the rest of your lives around that a little bit better. That's all I got. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
We will have the line search field training on April 27th. Peg will talk about that in her presentation. Okay. So we're going to take a 5-minute break here, and then we'll go into the classroom training for tonight on line search techniques. Pardon? That's what I'm going to do now. Yep. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to see if Dee Dee or Adam want to say anything, as you may not want to stay for the training. Dee Dee, do you have anything you want to say to us? You're muted. I'll ask you to unmute. Okay. Happens to me all the time, Dee Dee. There you
I don't
go.
think I have anything. I have several orientations scheduled with new approved members so that they can get some YCSO policy, the initial YCSO policy, and get started on their academy stuff. They're definitely working search and rescue applications. They've got 3 people, new people now over in the background recruiting area. And so they are definitely working on them. I do have some that are on hold, but those are mainly applications that have come to us in February and March. So hopefully we'll see that they are getting the applicants through the system sooner than what we originally projected to be like 4 months out. So hopefully that won't be the case.
Okay, thank you, Dee Dee. Adam, do you have anything you'd like to impart to the VSAR team?
No, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay, very good. I'm looking for, yeah, there you are, Adam. Okay, they can see you now. Okay, very good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we'll take a 5-minute break.